First and foremost, thank you so much for everyone, Wala Mthatha, for waking up on a Saturday. The weather is beautiful, you woke up. So I think this dispels the narrative that sometimes we ignorantly make, or we hear people making, that South Africans are lazy. So there's no South African who's lazy. Most especially a black South African, there's no such thing as a South African who's lazy. We are always doing something. And we learned this from Mama Makulu, watching them sell stuff. She goes to church with a bucket of scones. She sells. She's finding ways of enterprising. But what we had not then necessarily done is found ways of packaging that. But before I even proceed with the program, I think good morning to everyone. Thank you so much, Dr. Funani, a gentleman I've heard everywhere. Maya, thank you so much. You gave an amazing talk, and to all of our speakers. Makumalo, thank you so much. Mr. Riley, thank you so much. Mr. Wulana, don't see you. Thank you for that presentation. And I think to the pitchers, because it takes a lot of courage to pitch. It's very nerve-wracking to stand in front and to pitch your ideas and thoughts to people. They're just staring at you. And you're pitching your heart out, so you don't know if they are receiving or they are kicking it away. But also for me, just take it as an opportunity. You know, if you are pitching, you are pitching to your market. And it's the topic that we have today is broadening your market opportunities. That's what pitching, that's definitely one of the main things that pitching is. So what I used to do in my early entrepreneurship, I've been an entrepreneur now 21 years, and a township entrepreneur through and through. Started my business at Garage at Mbisa, raised by a very tough Xhosa woman, very sharp, very creative, very entrepreneurial, in her own rights in various ways. But what I then used to do is I would not necessarily apply for pitches or for entrepreneurial competitions to win. I applied for them for an opportunity to stand in front of maybe 200 or 100 people. While I pitch, I ask two guys who work with me, or guys I can afford, maybe I give them 200 rand or buy them lunch after. They will come in with flyers. As I pitch, they give flyers to all of those people. Because I'm utilizing it as a marketing strategy. Because now what I have is that I have got a captured audience that is sitting maybe for 2 minutes or 3 minutes listening to me. Now you can look at the flyer, you look at the person, you can match them up. So when you get off the stage and we are interacting, you now know who to identify and want to identify with. So the closing is not that I'm talking simply to the judges. When I close that pitch, I'm saying to the people, we are distributing pamphlets all over the room. If you are interested in our services, you will find us in that corner. Galelo Klesha, we can't even afford to exhibit wherever the thing is happening. But what are we doing is that we are landmarking ourselves. One of the main things that I loved about what Dr. Sylvester mentioned is it is not just green. It's deep green. But what is the importance of that? It's a mindset. It's the fact that when you see that specific color, you think about viewing money management differently. You think about money fitness in a different perspective. How are you thinking about your business? How are you thinking about your business and branding? So in most cases, when you think about branding and positioning your business, because they're thinking, so much money, I must hire a specialist. No. As you are in this room right now, you are branding yourself one way or another. Think about it. Kono Mavoso, who's known in the community, Oyarasa. Bese kono big, lo amateksi. Bese batu zinzi, lo thetha kakhulu. Bese batu jabo, lo hleza thandaza. Umfundisi nje, if they give them a mic, they won't stop praying. Bese no kono uzinzi wenza ntoni. So those things that we do, which are physical actions, people end up labeling us and branding us by those things. So meaning if you are being very intentional about your business and branding yourself, be known as the guy wama toilet. If you are renting out toilets, be known as the lady wama scones. Be known as the guy who rents out cars. Be known as the guy wama kepis. Why? Because every time people say that, they are branding you. Think about it. Whenever people need to get off at taxi, about can I get off at street number, what street? Batuk driver, can I get off at the blue liquor shop? Why? Because those things become landmarks. So when you then become a moving landmark. So that's how you hack marketing yourself and position yourself on a limited budget. Because when they introduce you, it becomes a great opportunity that even when they introduce you like on segments like this, they don't introduce you as Bulelani Balabala, Bulelani Wamatiya Balabala. Then people then get to ask themselves, what is it about this guy? What is it about this person? Why? Because you are segmenting yourself in the market because you don't have the biggest budgets. Think about it this way. Into Yokba unique is what all of us have. Uniqueness has an expiry date, and I'll tell you what I mean by that. If they make the loudest noise, now you've got the back-end job of chasing them in the market. Then it becomes unnecessarily expensive for you in the market, which means whatever chance and opportunity you get, be known as the person Obakama scones or Roma Gwenya or Mafeti or whatever it is that you want to call it in the various communities and the areas that are in. Why? Because you are taking yourself seriously and you are positioning yourself. And also think about it this way. Where we are right now, to say SMJ Butcher, this SMJ Butcher is sitting on a piece of land. If you go to the planning department, they'll call it earth. So it's a piece of real estate. So all of us, at the end of the day, what we really, really genuinely want is to own a piece of real estate in people's brains. So that any time they think of Equalgate, they think of you. Let's make an example. When I go and I visit Utatomnin, and he'd send me, as he always does, maybe to buy beer. Then I say, Marankel, I think you drank a little bit too much. But in a respectful manner, because you find ways, but you don't just, tough kosa men. But okay, cool. I'm Coke orange, or Coke brown, or Coke janjan. You understand? But the Coke is its own product, segmented in the market as its own thing. Or maybe when I have a conversation with my mother and she's sending me to air shops to go buy Colgate, I say, no, go buy me Colgate, Mthatha P, or Colgate, Sensodyne. What have those brands done? They are segmenting themselves in the market. So it's not a far-fetched thing. So what we want you to do is that you must be obsessed with positioning yourself in broadening your market so that anyone else who comes Mthatha, they must literally say, no man, but they're talking about someone else, but they're referring to you as a product. Because now you have segmented yourself in that particular manner. You are now the standard. But the one way and the only way to be the standard is when you are genuinely passionate about your product. But let's not confuse passion with perfection. Because in most cases, the reason why we don't grow as fast as we need to, or rather as responsible as we need to, is because you want to perfect it. You don't want to deliver and continuously iterate. To iterate is to get it better every time you supply. So I supply usisi, bese ndiyambuza usisi, okay, kubo bonke abantu that you could have gone to, why did you come to me? From that feedback, I go back to FX or a shop or a camera or a garage. I work on it. I change the label. I remove the sticker. Go to the next one. She buys or two more buy, and I ask them, why did you buy this? Two beautiful, lovely ladies. You bought this thing from me. Why did you buy from me? So that we move away from the mindset that says everyone is your customer. Everyone is not your customer. You keep iterating. So iterating, you are a change, you are an improver, you are an upgrader by asking the customer. The customer must be the one who tells you how to upgrade and how to change and how to make better that particular solution in the marketplace so that you're consistently growing yourself in the marketplace. So it then becomes important. But now back to, because that was a sidetrack story, now back to this whole perfection. One of the biggest cell phone manufacturing companies in the world started as a puzzle shop in their own country, which is Samsung. Today, almost everyone in the room or every second or third person has it. I'm not too sure what the stats are. So what do? You constantly keep changing the journey. Follow the journey of all the big brands. You don't start as great as they are. You keep improving, but it's the mindset that the person must have that says, I'm curious enough, I am hungry enough, so if I sell when I sell two or two buckets, is an opportunity to sell 4, is an opportunity to sell 5. For the fact that you are constantly asking those questions, it means that you are positioning yourself or you are forcing yourself to think bigger and to force yourself to be stretched so that you are able to grow in the marketplace. Just 5 points I want to share around the theme topic of today, which is broadening your market opportunities. Some of them would be interlinked in this opening preamble that I just shared with you. The first one is know your market beyond your street. So it goes back to dispelling not everyone is your customer. And what is the best and cheapest way of knowing your market? Ask the person who's bought from you in that moment in time what they bought from you. Don't make the assumption that you are hot. Let's never make the assumption, because you must remember one thing. I start the business because I'm passionate about the thing. Then I make it, I put it to the market. Allow the market to help you change it. Maybe the person who bought it from you because you were the neighbor, not necessarily because they liked the product. But when you get feedback from them, you might find, it's 500 mil is too big for me. I don't have a place to store it. Can you not make 200 mil? But you'll never get that feedback if you don't ask them. Because when you ask them, you build further, deeper brand endowment, because you know one critical thing. People buy from people that they like. Never ever miss that one. That is why even as you build your business, don't build it by duplication. You are not the next T, you are not the next brand X, Y, and Z, you are the next you. So meaning what? You brand it according to you, it emulates your personality, your archetype, and your characteristics. So the whole point of knowing your market beyond the street is just simply to say, you are an entrepreneur, Mthatha, Mthatha, you started this business in your garage, Mthatha. You must then understand a critical thing. Just because the business is geographically founded and located, created Mthatha, doesn't mean it must stay in that corner. It doesn't mean you must stay. You are the one who's choosing to keep it in that corner. You must find digital avenues of positioning your business outside of those environments. Let me make you an example to this point. So there's a young gentleman. Okay, maybe he's not so young now, but he was young when we worked with him years ago, that I worked with him years ago, and he did a couple of things. So he was making about 580,000 Rand gross profit from Tingisamakota in Alexander. We're trying to say size of is about 4 meters by 3. But you know what he had understood that I ended up finding very fascinating in his journey. He understood he's got 3 customers, or there are types of customers, and it shows in his menu. The first set of customers is the one where I'm selling to the local guys, Basa Alexander. So they are price sensitive. And because they are price sensitive, the first 2 or 3 products is ikota with a couple of chips, ne'acha, and then enye nepaloni. So you don't have the most expensive ingredients. Even the size of that bread portion is minimized, right? And then it's got another market, so that individual will buy it for 20 Rand or 13 Rand because that market is a price-sensitive market. Then he understands, good, I've got a second type of customer set. This customer set is the one who comes as umalume coming to visit umakulu or whoever in the area, hardly comes, but he's got that disposable cash. Once the quarter, maybe that's going to be bulked up with all the fancy things, the burgers, the what, the longer Russians and all that stuff. Then if that quarter is 50 Rand or 60 Rand, he buys it and he can buy it for Abom Chana so that they feast in that particular moment in time. But then, and then he understands that there's a third market. There's a third market that's very curious about what the township is. But this whole hoo-ha around the township economy. Sometimes these individuals are different races. Some of them are international individuals who might want to come in those communities. At that point, you understand that they've got further disposable income. And the split in between is that sometimes it might even be a corporate that wants to do an immersive experience for lunch. Their CEOs, their managing executives eat and they get to taste food from Mthatha or specific cuisines. So out of that, then he understood, we'll open up the shop, we'll sell to the locals. Earlier on in the morning, we already go across the street, which is Santon. They will knock on the various office doors that are there where they are let in. And what they also then started to do is they also then started to utilize Marketplace because they couldn't afford ads. So they'd not put products, but they'd put those quotas there and people would find them on Marketplace in an interesting manner. And then what they also then started to do is they will also then start to redistribute 500 Rand and only direct their ads to Santon. So now you had these guys in Santon who, from a lunch perspective, where they were spending 160, 180 at a wimpy, now are redirecting their money buying ikota because there was a nostalgic sale. So the one part of the sale, the first part of the sale is driven by the cost. Because I want the value, but I want to manage the cost. The second type of customer is the nostalgic one, is the one who has lived and grew up in Mthatha and comes back and spends 200 Rand or 500 Rand on that haircut because it's a nostalgic moment. It's been a while since he's been here. Then there's the other part of the sale where the sale is an experiential sale. That person is having an experience with the product. It's the first time they've ever consumed them. So there's a lot of questions with that. Why? Because you are segmenting the product on the basis of the at different markets. And what did we then find from there? We then found that when we further unpack the sales, so this 580 now is no longer a daunting task. Why? Because only 60,000 actually comes from Alexander. The rest of the money comes from the various other communities that is taking the business to and distributing the business to. Why? Because your location must not be the limitation. My business started at Tembisa. So Tembisa, for those who don't know, is a township like Mthatha or whatsoever the case. But the key thing that I started to understand in one of the businesses that I was running then was a printing business. Now, there's nothing unique about a printing business. There's 3 at 1, there's printing for you, there's Minuteman. And then after that, there's your mom and pops, there are odd printing shops. So in that community, for a client to drive from Sandton, for a net bank to drive from Sandton all the way to a Tembisa and look for a printing shop, it doesn't make any sense. Because there are better printing shops with better scale, with better volumes, as opposed to one that looks like an internet cafe and has a Lexmark printer and has a 3-in-1 Lexmark printer, can't produce volume. But you know what we then started to do? We started to go to where the market is. So what does that mean? We are the ones going to them. We are the ones pitching to them. Where are we finding them? If I go to their offices, they won't let me in. So they show me with the security guard so I can get into the receptions. But the other part of the market is now I'm actually following those companies on the social media pages. And I'm asking them myself one simple question. You know, if I follow them on their social media pages, they'll most likely post their activities and anything that has to do with their companies. Guess what? A net bank will post where the executive will be speaking. And guess where I'm going? I'm going to where that function is. When I go to that function, because of the caliber of the function, nobody's going to question if I've got a 1 rand shop or a shop that makes nothing or a shop Tembisa. Now I get to talk to a senior executive as if I'm on the same level because the environment says we are on the same level. So what you do is you find spaces of targeting the audience and targeting the customer where they are. So you stock them. So that part of the stocking them is not just to go to them, but part of the stocking them is to say, no man, I follow NetBank and their content, so they just released their financial results. What information can I share if I met an executive about their financial results? You know, Dr. Sylvester just spoke now about some of the initiatives and campaign. So if I talk to a banker or someone in marketing or in sales, now I've got some information. Why? People don't just buy from people that they like, right? People don't just buy from people that they like, but let me tell you why they like you. They will like you when you share information that has got a vested interest in them. So let me make you an example. By nature, we are selfish, and there's nothing wrong with that unless it's protrudingly wrong. Let me make you an example. When you drive your car and stop at the side of the road and you give that gentleman or that lady 100 rand, you give them because it's self-serving. There's a level of selfishness. It's the good type. Because you walk away with a good feeling, but I did something right. You understand what I'm saying? When you stop and there's a young lady on your social media, she can't get a matric dress, and you decide to sponsor 10,000 rand and give it to her, you walk away with that fulfilling feeling. It's a self-feeling. You have to walk. So understand that the customer as well has to walk away with a deeply ingrained feeling of something. What is that feeling that you want them to walk away when they engage you? So because you understand that, you must also then understand that if my mandate working for an institution is to grow and drive that institution, guess what I need to do? When I talk to you, I'm talking to you 95% about what your institution does and only 5% about what mine does. That shows that you actually understand who we are. So when you are selling to this customer, you spend 95% talking about their business and talking about their growth, and you spend 5% about how you'll solve for that. Because the moment you do that, then it shows the person that you've got a vested interest, and they open up about how to help you in growing them so that you can actually walk away and make the money. So we become very, very intentional. The second point is build a brand and not a hustle, and we spoke about it. And quite interestingly enough, you know, I've had the opportunity of working with individuals that are billionaires, some that are thousandaires, some have got no money, some are hustling, some are navigating. And it's quite interesting that you can still find a billionaire who makes 50 million rand a year. Because you must also understand that the measure of making money doesn't necessarily mean that you've got systems. Sometimes I've got a connection. Sometimes it's a corrupt connection. Sometimes that connection is a fluke connection. Sometimes those circles that I'm in is because my cousin or my brother who's in that position. So it's not a systematic growth. It's a growth predicated by the spaces that I'm in. So we can't necessarily utilize the fact that the individual looks like they have money or they even have money in their bank account as a substitute to the fact that they actually have systemized their business. When you systemize your business, you ask yourself a simple and a clear question. If I wasn't here today, would this business still open? Okay, it wouldn't. Then what is the simplest way? Because I know sometimes when I mention the word system, people get scared or whatever. Think about it this way. If you are the one who opens up the shop each and every day, and you close the shop a particular way, building a system says, you write down on a piece of paper, the heading, open the shop. The first step, the shop must be open at 7. Number 2, the key to open the shop is stored with the next door neighbor. You ask for Sipho. Here's Sipho's number. Step number 3, when you get the key from Sipho, you must make sure that you send me, the owner, a WhatsApp to confirm that you've got the keys. Step number 4, the key that you use to open the first lock is numbered from 1 to 3, 4, 5. When you open the shop, make sure that you make sure that you go to the alarm. Step number 6, the alarm keypad is 4, 6, 8, whatever. That's what you do. So what we have then done, that is why in most cases, even when you get help in, the help is frustrated because we're not unpacking in detail what support looks like. But when you then write it up in steps, it then helps you, which is why at the office, I always have tell the team that we've got this long Bible of to-do list. It's not for me. I create this for you. So if you don't study them religiously, and if you don't study them to clearly demonstrate a level of understanding, then you're going to miss certain things. And assumptions are not a good thing because they actually show that demonstrating that you are not actually preparing yourself for those opportunities that are out there in the market. The third and last point, and I'll leave it at the third and last point, is simply this. Everyone is in competition in one way or another. The one idea that you are thinking about, I think there's a study or something, whether it was a study or someone's thought or quotation that said, for every one day that you think of, there's 10,000 other people that are thinking about that idea. So I wake up each and every day and I know one singular thing. We are doing this amazing work, but we're doing this, and I'll tell you now, because I'm the founder of T and I'm an entrepreneur. We're doing this amazing work, and we're doing this amazing work with Nedbank. But I'm not disillusioned. I'm not disillusioned by the fact that there's probably someone out there who's studying the work that we're doing and thinking, how can they take our lunch? It's a fact. I do not rest on the comfort that says that we are leaders and we're in charge. We're not in charge of anything if that's a elusive mindset. So to keep ourselves agile, I need to ask myself a simple question. So if we hosted a workshop or a training on behalf of Nedbank the previous month, my singular question is, how do we improve it and make it better? Yes, sir. So we never become comfortable because those are the things that then keep me up at night. How do we do it better? So the last time when they came, there was one screen. Can there be 2? The last time when they came, the program ran a different way, a format in a different way. Can we then improve that experience so that the next time you come to this session, it's a meaningful session for you to participate in? Why? Because the moment we leave it redundant, we are saying to the market, come and take over our market share. Why? Because the market is competitive. So even when you work with teams, you must work with teams with that shared level of understanding that there's constantly someone who's looking at taking your lunch. And we have seen it in the marketplace, in the various marketplace. I mean, you look at cell phone companies with the emergence of now cameras on them. You look at various programs. You look at Netflix with the evolution of Mr. Video and other market shares. You look at the constant fights that we have with the taxi industry versus the Ubers and whatsoever, fighting against the evolution as opposed to being part of it and moving with it. So what is those things in your business that could, catapult you to the next level, but you're allowing them to hold you back? Which is why then I'm the toughest with my team, because I understand that excellence or nothing. It's not 2 mistakes, it's the first mistake. It's not when it happens 6 times, it's when it happens the first time that we have the conversation. Why? Because we understand that we've got a deeply ingrained desire to wanting to be excellent, but also compete on a global stage. So my audience in Mthatha Gwangoko by location, but we've got an online audience that is watching from other countries. So we are not putting this work in a corner, but we're demonstrating to the whole world what we can solve. So when I then go to a Paris or a Netherlands or whatsoever, this is why excellence is important. My conversation to them is the reason why I am a third world country, and the importance of it is because I will understand how to solve third world problems. And I understand that in Paris, there are townships and there are shacks that are called different things. So as you lead in other marketplaces, we will help you solve your project's issue because we understand it better than the ones in the first world countries. What are we doing? We are exporting solutions in other marketplaces, but we can't do that if we are not fixated on the customer, if we're not fixated on excellence, if we're not fixated on deliverables. So my last piece that has got nothing to do with this presentation. I love the individuals that spoke here today, because a Nedbank might advertise a product and say, apply for this product, the documents you need is X, Y, and Z. In order for you to apply and get this product, you need these paperwork in place. Maybe a 10,000 Rand loan, you get it this way. Maybe you go to a Simply Please product. Maybe you've got products there. Maybe you go to a CEDFA and they say, you know, we're running an equipment program where you can get equipment or non-financial support and machinery. Apply this way. Maybe you go to the department locally and they say we are running a program where we are funding businesses in the township. What I would love for you to do, as in from entrepreneur to entrepreneur, operate on a zero base. A zero base is a mindset that says they don't owe you anything, even if their job is to give you the solution. So meaning that every time I see her, I'm now going to be empathetic in the relationship. No, Sisi, when every time I email you, you don't respond. But no. When I'm being empathetic and I operate on a zero base, the questions are different. I've emailed her 3 times, she doesn't answer. Maybe let me ask her, why don't you answer emails? Then now we change the conversation. No, man, you've not been seeing your emails, but the reason why I don't respond to your emails is I'm the only one in the department, and I'm required to be at 7 different places all at once, and they don't have capacity. So the best thing that you could potentially do, if you don't mind, our next activation is wherever. If you come, I normally have 2 hours open, and I can help you through the journey. That's now when you operate on a zero base, because when you operate in a mindset that says, "Vele, they must," it builds entitlement and resentment. Nothing moves, and all you'll be left with all day long is complaints. So let's watch ourselves as we watch our businesses for their own growth. I hope that was valuable. Thank you so much.